For this part of the tutorial, we will look at how to use Frames for Fluency with Carousel of Ideas. Frames for Fluency is an oral language development tool that can be used as a standalone product or as a supplement to Carousel. Frames for Fluency is part of the Premium Carousel bundle. Frames for Fluency increases student talk in the classroom while developing automaticity and fluency with the grammatical forms and language functions. Oral language development is a crucial element in any ELD program, and these sentence frames provide the practice students need to reach grammatical accuracy. The intent of these frames is to call out, highlight, and provide practice and reinforcement with the key language structures in a Carousel chapter. With more than 550 ready-made sentence frames, this tool reduces teacher preparation time. The pedagogical underpinnings related to the importance of oral language development is available as a white paper on the Ballard & Tie website and help desk, so please do download the white paper for further information. These next two charts show the scope and sequence of the grammatical forms covered in the Carousel program that are further reinforced with the sentence frames from this tool. As you see, English learners will receive the much-needed explicit instruction for grammatical and oral proficiency. Like Carousel of Ideas, Frames for Fluency comes in two sets. Set 1 for beginning through early intermediate levels, and Set 2 for intermediate through advanced levels. Each set consists of a teacher's guide and a long box of sentence frames. The teacher's guide contains all the instructions for teachers to carry out each practice routine. It tells you what materials you need and also provides clear examples to support each frame. The teacher's guide targets the forms and functions to practice and reinforce, while the sentence frames provide the concrete structure to do this. The same picture and word cards and theme pictures from Carousel provide the bricks, or the vocabulary, to be used in conjunction with the mortar, the language of the frames. We want to place the vocabulary in a meaningful context in order to make the practice and use of the frames more effective and powerful. Let's look at a page spread of the Set 2 Teacher's Guide. At the top of each page spread, you will see the unit and chapter title. The titles and topic correspond to the Carousel units and chapters. The proficiency level is identified at the top right-hand corner. The target vocabulary for that chapter is listed here by part of speech, again corresponding to the Carousel target vocabulary. Before beginning a chapter, it is important that students are introduced to the target vocabulary being used in that chapter. If you are using Frames with Carousel, you would have already introduced the vocabulary in Lessons 1 and 2. Pages 14 and 15 in the introduction include suggestions for introducing and reinforcing the vocabulary, so be sure to read those pages before you begin. Each frame practice is contained within one of these colored boxes that are sequentially numbered. The materials you need are listed at the top. For example, for this frame practice, you will need theme pictures number 28 and number 29. The function and form tell what this frame practice is focusing on. Here, students will be expressing mood using modals should, would, and could. These frames are designed to be used to complement and enhance your Carousel instruction. The Carousel Teacher's Guide page numbers tell you where this function and form is first taught in that chapter. This chart tells you the lessons in Carousel that have a corresponding sentence frame practice. The page numbers for both the Carousel and Frames Teacher's Guides are provided to help you plan your Carousel lesson. You can download this chart from the Ballard & Tie help desk. In addition to the picture and word cards or theme pictures, you will also need the sentence frames themselves. The code you see next to each frame corresponds to the code at the top right-hand corner of the strip in the box. With every frame, there are clear directions and examples for the teacher to model to students what is expected of them. For some frames, we have provided mini-strips with pronouns and prepositions to help students create their responses. These mini-strips are found behind the Other tab in the box of sentence frames. Display these strips before you begin and instruct students to use them to help them craft their responses. With every chapter in Carousel, a literature book related to the topic is suggested to boost students' literacy and comprehension skills, as well as exposure to various genres of literature. To support the literature lesson, sentence frames, such as the ones you see here, provide the scaffolding students need to do more challenging tasks required in mainstream classes. Appendix A in the Frames for Fluency Teacher's Guide includes step-by-step directions for using the literature frames. We have included sentence frames for predicting, comprehension check, critical thinking, who, what, when, why question starters, sequencing events, character and setting, and main ideas and details. Providing EL's practice with such frames will help develop the language and fluency skills they need in mainstream language arts. When should you use these sentence frames in a Carousel lesson? The next 4 slides are intended to specify when to use frames for fluency when delivering a Carousel lesson. 2 reasons a teacher might use the frames in the beginning or before a lesson. 1. To assess where students are prior to the lesson. Or 2. To make a connection to the previous chapter. During a lesson, you can use the sentence frames to introduce, reinforce, and provide further practice with the target vocabulary. You may also choose to embellish on the form and function using other vocabulary that may not be part of the chapter or previously learned. As you encounter teachable moments in a lesson, you can pull out a frame that needs to be further practiced, highlighted, or reinforced. You can use the sentence frames at the end of a lesson as a quick way to assess if students have mastered a form and function, or as an opportunity to extend practice. Finally, at the end of a chapter or unit, use the sentence frames as a culminating activity or informal assessment of the key forms and functions and proficiency level objectives.